Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Flame Entertainment and Sports. It's your boy Rob here. This is going to be our 2025-26 NFL season preview. I'll be giving my division winners along with wildcard teams, conference champions, and of course, my Super Bowl pick for the 2025-26 NFL season. Before we get started, make sure to check us out on Instagram and TikTok at the flame_ES. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And with all that said, let's get into this episode as we dive into the 2025 NFL season. So to start off in the AFC, I'm going to be going division by division first, giving my division winners. And then I will be stating whether or not I have multiple teams from a division making it into the playoffs this year. So let's start off in the AFC East. I have the Buffalo Bills once again winning the AFC East. But with that said, I do have the New England Patriots coming close to Buffalo. I think we might come down to a game later in the season where these teams are fighting for the division. So with that said, I have the Patriots sneaking in as a fifth seed in Mike Vrabel's first year as their head coach. And with that said, I also have the Dolphins finishing with the seventh seed. I just feel like, you know how usually the Dolphins kind of towards the end kind of choke? I feel like they're going to find a way to sneak in this year. So in the AFC East, I have Buffalo winning the division. Like I said, then I have the Patriots and the Dolphins as two of the three wildcard teams in the AFC. Now let's move on to the next division, which is the AFC North. And in this division, I have the Baltimore Ravens winning the division. I think overall, they're the most well-balanced team in the division. You know, Cincinnati, of course, they have the elite offense with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. But then you look at their defense, they didn't really make much improvements besides, keeping Trey Hendrickson for another season. And then Pittsburgh, they brought in some big name guys, so people might kind of look at them as a team to watch. They brought in Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith. Of course, they have T.J. Watt. They have Cam Hayward. But I just feel like the Steelers are, in my opinion, too old for me to see them sustaining, throughout a whole season. Then we move on to the following division, which is the AFC South. In this one, I really only see one serious team as a playoff contender, and that's the team I have winning the division, the Houston Texans. I have them winning once again. Um, you know, in second place in the division, I have Jacksonville. I do think it'll be an improvement for the Jaguars in comparison, from the previous season. I think Coach Cohen and, the GM Gladstone, I think they're going to have a nice first year, but ultimately, I think Houston will be the lone team coming out of the AFC South and into the playoffs. And then finally, the final division to cover, the AFC West. I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning that division once again. But with that said, I do have a second team from the AFC West getting the sixth seed and, being a wild card team. And that is the Denver Broncos second year for Bo Nix and Sean Payton together. I think they're going to have another fantastic season. I think it's going to come down to the wire. Just like I said with Buffalo and New England, I think the same thing could happen here where we see Kansas City beat Denver late in the season and, secure the AFC West once again. So now to go over the AFC once more before we move on to the NFC. So we have Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo, Houston, New England, Denver, and Miami. Now to move on to our NFC division winners. So we have the Philadelphia Eagles winning the NFC East, the defending champions. I think they're going to win the division once again. And I don't see any other team in that division being a playoff team this coming season. Then we move on to the NFC North, where, arguably the toughest division in all of football. And I could tell you this was the toughest division to make predictions for. With that said, I do have the Green Bay Packers winning the NFC North this year. And I also have the Minnesota Vikings and Detroit Lions making the playoffs as well as two of the wild card teams in the NFC. Followed by Green Bay, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning the NFC South once again. I think, people kind of look at the South consistently over the years and they kind of think it's up for grabs every year. And I've understood it, but I think this season is going to be, we're going to see Tampa, really dominate that division. I don't really see any of the other teams coming close to what Tampa could do on the field this coming season. And then our final division winner in another really nice division that I really like in the NFC West, we have the San Francisco 49ers. But with that said, we also have the LA Rams coming in as a wild card team from the NFC West. And now we could get into our playoff brackets. So in the AFC, this is our playoff bracket as a one seed. We have the Baltimore Ravens, followed by the Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, Houston Texans, New England Patriots, Denver Broncos, and Miami Dolphins. And with that said, now to keep it short and sweet for y'all, I'm gonna move on immediately to the AFC Championship game. I just wanted to kind of, go over the 7 teams I have making it in. And for the AFC Championship game, I have a AFC East divisional showdown between the New England Patriots and Buffalo Bills. And I have the Bills being victorious. And I have them finally beating the Kansas City Chiefs, by the way, in the second round. The team they haven't been able to overcome. I think this is the year Buffalo does it. I think this is the most well balanced Buffalo has been in a while. I think the second year with some of these receivers who really, like Khalil Shakir, he shined last year. I think Keon Coleman's going to have a huge sophomore season coming up. And I think Joshua Palmer as well could really help that as a veteran coming over from the Chargers. And I just feel this is the most well balanced team that Buffalo has had overall in the Sean McDermott slash Josh Allen era. So yeah, I have Buffalo beating New England, but New England, I have them as a runner-up in Mike Vrabel's first season as their head coach. I just think a lot of people are sleeping on New England right now, and they're gonna really exceed expectations. But ultimately, I feel that the continuity, that's the word I want to describe this with, the continuity of the Buffalo Bills will um, allow them to prevail over the division, rivals and head into the Super Bowl in Santa Clara. And now to go and revisit our NFC playoff teams before we get into the championship games. So in the NFC, we have the Philadelphia Eagles at number 1, followed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Green Bay Packers, San Francisco 49ers, the Minnesota Vikings, LA Rams, and finally the Detroit Lions is the 7th seed in the NFC this year. Then in the NFC championship game, we have another divisional showdown. This time it's an NFC West battle between the LA Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. And we have San Francisco advancing to the Super Bowl in a season where we see them finally gain back that full health once again. Christian McCaffrey is good to go. He's a dad. He's healthy now. He's more inspired than ever before. People are counting him out. I think he's going to be huge. And then you think of the addition of Brian Robinson, who was the number 1 running back of the Washington Commanders, who were in the NFC Championship game last year. Now you look at that one-two punch. Oh, and also there's a third one. We have a little trio of running backs as always for Shanahan. Isaac Guerrero, he came on last year, towards the end of the year and finished off a really nice rookie campaign. So I'm looking at the San Francisco 49ers who really bounced back here. So that said, now to get into our Super Bowl matchup and how cool the Super Bowl is in, the 49ers stadium. And we have the Buffalo Bills taking on the San Francisco 49ers. And with that said, we have the San Francisco 49ers finally getting a Super Bowl win with head coach Kyle Shanahan, who's just done an incredible job alongside general manager John Lynch. The Shanahan-Lynch era for the 49ers has been incredible. And, I think this is the year they're finally going to do it. They're going to, carry the Lombardi Trophy. And once again, unfortunately for Bills Mafia, the Bills will lose another Super Bowl. But yeah, guys, and one more thing. As my Super Bowl MVP, this is the only prediction I'm doing in terms of individual players, as it is a big one. And, this is what I was feeling. I have Fred Warner, the longtime linebacker, probably the best middle linebacker in all of football of the 49ers. I have him winning Super Bowl MVP. And I think this will be an incredible matchup when you really think about it. Buffalo, San Francisco, 2 teams that play hard. 2 teams with 2 of the best head coaches and coaching staffs in all of football. Of course, Sean McDermott, he's done a tremendous job in his tenure in Buffalo. And then in San Francisco, this is another reason why I think the 49ers are going to be Super Bowl champions and why they're going to be so improved in comparison to last season. They brought back Robert Saleh, who was their defensive coordinator a couple years ago. Of course, the last couple years, he was the head coach of the Jets, but now he's back running the San Francisco defense once again. And I think Robert Saleh returning will be the ultimate X factor as to why the San Francisco 49ers will be the 2026 Super Bowl champions. But yeah, guys, with all that said, it's going to wrap up this NFL season preview episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts on any of my predictions, make sure to comment down here below. If you're watching on YouTube, you can also send us your thoughts on Instagram and TikTok at @theflame_ES. If you want to give us your predictions for the upcoming season, Super Bowl picks, whatever it may be, make sure to let us know. We'd love to hear your opinions out there. And once again, make sure to, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, like I said, at @theflame_ES. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Fins up. Until next time, everyone, take care.